Good Morning Show with Troy Torres is brought to you by 76 Circle K Guam.
Good morning, my friends, and welcome to Friday. I'm very excited because tomorrow is my day off, and I have been working it and grinding it since Sunday. And so I'm very tired. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, but I know that there is this show that we have to be excited for, and then there is tonight's show, which I believe is going to be the reality check by Michael Nicholas. And if I'm not mistaken, he's going to take up the issue of the unemployment rate. Don't mind the lighting. Eric Rosario, our producer, he told me what to do, what to get. I'm supposed to get a backlight over here and then a third light. I don't know. It's some 3 lighting thing. We're also going to be getting a studio this year because I know we're going to have all that guest stuff. And in anticipation of me giving up I think all but one of the evening shows to other people, and what I'd like to have is one of the evening shows be a roundtable of where we bring back Johnny Rosario into the discussion. You know, she's just always got a great perspective. Mike Nicholas when he is spending his time in Guam, and maybe someone else from another perspective. I am quite progressive. Johnny is liberal. She's not progressive like me, but she has some she's not as left-leaning as I am. Mike Nicholas is definitely in the middle, and so we need a right-winger to have a conversation with, because otherwise, my whole goal this year is to lessen my imprint, lessen my voice on Kandit. And anyway, you guys are stuck with me at least to the end of the year. This is the Friday news analysis, and there are 2 subjects that I want to talk about today that are separate and distinct. One is an appointment that the governor has made to the medical board. The Guam governor has made to the medical board, and it is the appointment of Dr. Erica Alford. And the reason it is something that sparks controversy and a closer look at this appointment and whether senators should confirm this person is because she is Senator Telos Haidegwe's, she was Senator Telos Haidegwe's doctor, who Senator Haidegwe, when she had thyroid cancer, was that was her doctor for the thyroid cancer. And shortly after, Senator Haidegwe publicly defended a bill by Therese Terlahi to reform the Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act, a reform that Dr. Alford opposed. Dr. Alford dropped her as a patient in the middle of her cancer treatments. I want to talk about that. And I also want to talk about, I had a chance to review the Attorney General's pamphlet that he gave to the media about the reason that he's requesting a budget increase. And so I want to talk about that and also bring you something that I saw in the comments last night from last night's show, where we had some criticisms about the AG. But Simon Sanchez, former senator, longtime member of the CCU, he had some words for the Attorney General and the type of job that he's doing. So we're going to talk about all of these things on the other side of this commercial break. We'll start with the issue with Dr. Alford and Senator Telos Haidegwe. Do stick with us. This is a short commercial break.
Mm.
want to let you in on something I was thinking about this morning before I get into this issue on Dr. Alford and Senator Telotide cancer treatment and medical malpractice and all that. I was thinking last night because we are coming up on some stories that I have the documents and all that stuff. We'll be publishing some stuff that will probably make a whole lot of people in the political and in the business world very upset. And I thought about it, and I thought about, that there's the Tenorio corruption trial, there's the connections that business people have to the different senators, and, senators might be scared that if they associate themselves with certain people or if they fund certain things through their political advertisements, then they are not going to get the backing of these people. And, I was just, contemplating that over this next year, right, that throughout this political season, Kandit might not get the political advertisements that, normally fuel newsrooms for like a couple of years, because that's how much money comes in through these political advertisements. And I thought, screw them. I don't care. So and which makes me appreciate our commercial advertisers even more. And with the political people who want to advertise with us, that goes to show that they're making a smart investment, because of we have quite a few views, right? Like quite a few people. I did a data run from January 1 to May 7, 2026 on Kandit. On Facebook, Kandit alone, 37.8 million views. And so, I'm sure the political people will make their decision that way. But because of politics being what it is, right? And the elite having control over certain things, over a lot of things, who knows? But I just want to let you know that I don't care whether you advertise with us or not. We're not changing our content, and we're not dumbing it down, and we're not going to go pantsy on any of these issues for the sake of the almighty dollar. Now let's talk about this issue with the governor's appointment of, oh my gosh, I hate it when the internet does this. The governor's appointment of Dr. Erica Alford to the Board of Medical Examiners. It was the subject of a confirmation hearing by the Health Committee chaired by Senator Sabrina Salas-Matsinani. And there's some background here. And the governor appointing a person after this all happened, it kind of goes, it tells you about this administration, it tells you about this government, it tells you about the power of money. Back in a couple of legislatures ago, Senator, I think she was at the time Speaker, Therese Terlahi, introduced something called Bill number 112. I believe it's Bill number 112-36. So I believe it was the 36th Guam legislature, so 2 terms ago, if I'm not mistaken. And that was a bill that would have reformed the Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act so that people who have legitimate claims would not be barred from bringing their claims to court. Right now, the way the act is fashioned, people who don't have enough money are essentially barred from civil justice. They are not, if you are someone who was maimed, or if you are the survivor of someone who was killed as a result of medical malpractice, you cannot bring a claim against that doctor who committed the malpractice in court unless you go through a mandatory arbitration process that costs 6 figures. And you have to bear that burden. You have to bear that financial burden before anything can happen. And so who has, because one of the things you have to do is you have to fly in the arbitrators. And you have to pay for their accommodations and all that. It's a very expensive thing. And so who has that money except for the elite, who already are cared for, because doctors always want them to be cared for better, because they're the ones who can make the refers. They're the ones who have the voices. But the voiceless, they're the ones who, if they're killed or if they're maimed due to medical malpractice, there are no consequences for that doctor who caused it. And I say there are no consequences because not only is there no civil relief, and even Judge Frances Tadenko Gatewood talked about this in one of her rulings, Not only is there no civil relief, but there also is there hardly are, and the Guam Board of Medical Examiners has proven this out over the past several years. No fines, hardly any administrative consequences, and a whole lot of heartache and headache. And you have to exert public pressure on the Guam Board of Medical Examiners, which is made up of doctors, some of whom have major conflicts of interest when it comes to some of the doctors who are accused of medical malpractice. And that board has not ruled in favor of a patient in years. More importantly, that board has taken years to come up with any rulings whatsoever, leaving several people, grieving people, and hurt people in limbo. And also the way they treat some of these people, it's just, it's not nice. And so Teresa Lahi introduces Bill 112, and she wants to reform medical malpractice, and she wants to open up civil relief to all of anybody who has a legitimate claim. And this thing, it had steam, and it was going to pass. And the key was to get it to pass by 10 votes. And it seemed like it had, because the governor was going to veto it. And it seemed like it had the 10 votes. And then the lobby of doctors, and it's not all the doctors, but it's a bunch of them, right? They came down hard, and they're like, don't pass this. And some of them were even saying things like, or we'll leave Guam. And so a bunch of us were like, well, go ahead. If you don't like us so much and you don't want to be held accountable, like every other profession in this island is held accountable through the process of civil relief. If you don't want to follow the rules like everybody else, then leave. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, because we're not going to be your guinea pigs anymore. But because of that lobby, which is a significant lobby, just like how it's been a significant lobby in defeating Governor Eddie Calvo's vision of building a new hospital, defeating Governor Lulian Guerrero's vision of building a new hospital, and likely trying to defeat the next governor's vision of building a new hospital. This lobby defeated Bill 112. But before it was defeated, one of the people who was one of the main defenders of this bill was Senator Tello Taitigui. And at the time, she was struggling through thyroid cancer. And I verified it with documents. So this is not just me relying on what she's saying. Documents that I got legally, like with her permission, all right? So she was battling thyroid cancer, and her doctor at the time was Dr. Erica Alford. And in almost immediately after Senator Taitigui took to the floor of the legislature to defend Bill 112 and seek its passage into law, she gets a Dear John letter from Dr. Alford. Let me read it to you. Now, it doesn't say anything about the medical malpractice thing, but it does. It does release her as a patient. Dr. Alford wrote, Dear Ms. Taitigui, with the likely repeal of the Mandatory Medical Arbitration Act of Guam, we have had to make difficult decisions about how we approach providing health care in Guam. Often we stretch our scope of practice so patients can be followed locally to minimize need to fly off island for specialty care. With deep regret, I will be limiting my scope of practice to my training specialty, general adult endocrinology. Patients with thyroid cancer, especially those with any concerning characteristics, will be referred off island for subspecialty care with an endocrinologist who specializes in thyroid cancer. If you have a preferred institution, please let me know so we can provide a referral. I will continue to care for your endocrine needs for the next 30 days while we transition you to endocrine neoplasia. This was dated June 23, 2021. Dropped a cancer patient. The cancer patient being the senator who was her patient, who was fighting for the reform, not the repeal, but the reform of the Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act. Can you imagine that? You get dropped as a cancer patient from your doctor, likely because of the stance that you took on some political issue. And so fast forward to 2026, and Governor Lulian Guerrero has appointed her. Actually, I don't know if it's governor. No, it has to be the governor because it needs confirmation by the legislature. Governor Lulian Guerrero has appointed her to the medical board, the same board that for the past several years has been remiss in its duties to be the counterbalance against this act, which is to, at the very least, institute administrative justice in the licensure of medical professionals, so that when there are cases of malpractice, there are investigations that happen swiftly in the interests of civil justice, of administrative justice, and a decision is made impartially and without the conflicts of interest that this current board has. The governor appointed the doctor who dropped Senator Tydegui as a cancer patient, more than likely or likely due to her position on medical malpractice, to this same board that would deal with complaints about medical malpractice. It just seems like one gigantic FU to the regular, ordinary people of this island who, if they ever need to file for civil relief, don't have the money like the rich people. And, when you think about it, a lot of rich people wouldn't even be able to afford. Like, who has 6 digits of liquidity just hanging around so that you can pursue a malpractice claim? There are not many people who would have that type of liquidity. And if they do have that type of liquidity, it would be something that they were saving up like as a nest egg to protect them or their children or their grandchildren in the future. So they would be sacrificing that. And so this is the direction our government is going. And luckily, right, you have at least one senator who stands up to this nonsense. And I'm going to play this section of the confirmation hearing for you, where we're going to hear from Dr. Alford first. In her testimony, she gets a supportive testimony from Dr. Juan Nguyen, and then Senator Therese Terlahi starts questioning her. We're gonna hold on. Sorry, I forgot to. I always forget to set. I cannot wait until Kandit gets its studio back. Son of a bitch! Son of a gun! I cannot wait until Kandit gets its studio back. So that I'm not the producer of these shows, because I'm always making mistakes. Okay, here we go. And let's play this hearing now.
That is Dr. Erica Alford to serve as a physician representative for the Guam Board of Medical Examiners. And she will be joining us via Zoom. But I believe first we have public testimony on her appointment from Dr. Hoa Nguyen. Dr. Hoa?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. My name is Juan Nguyen, and I'm with American Medical Center. I just logged in today just to try to give a testimony to confirm Dr. Erica Alford for the Guam Medical Board. I know Dr. Alford now, I think over probably 12, 15 years already. She's provide excellent care to a special population of Guam with any type of endocrine problem. She's the one to go to for a lot of people. I have not have anything negative from Dr. Alfred. She do tech call for GMH for endocrinology. If you have anyone that needs her expertise, she managed her own practice at our third location in Oka. Again, we have a lot of challenge in the medical board in the past few years regarding, the liability or the reliability of the medical board in a lot of cases in identify physicians that qualify to practice in Guam, and also there's some litigation that on hold at Guam Medical Board. I know with the hearing yesterday on the ITP and the pathway for foreign physician to come in, I also expressed concern that the Guam Medical Board have a lot of leeway on making decision for the future for a lot of incoming physician. And I know yesterday I said Dr. Bird is the chair right now, but we don't know who's going to be in the chair or who's going to be in the medical board in the next few years to make determination of some leeway given to them. So with Dr. Alford and along with I know Dr. Galgo have been confirmed already. We're some very new face and very reliable physician to be on the Guam Medical Board to make the right decision for the people of Guam. So I really wholeheartedly highly recommend that Dr. Alford be, appointed to the Guam Medical Board. I have no reservation at all. So again, I ask you to ensure that she got confirmed to one position in One Medical Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hoa. Dr. Alford, we can pull her up on the screen. Hi, Dr.
Hi,
Alford.
good afternoon.
Half a day. It's been a long time.
Half a day.
Half a day. If you can just tell the people of Guam about yourself and why you decided to accept this appointment from the governor.
Half a day, everyone. My name is Erica Masuda Alford. I'm an endocrinologist at American Medical Center. I returned home about 14 and a half years ago, and I've been working at American Medical Center since then. When the governor first asked me to serve on the Guam Medical Board, I did hesitate because it is a big commitment, and it is definitely a time commitment, and it is something that I have never done before. I've also never served on any kind of government board or any kind of government institution. So this is definitely new territory, uncharted territory for me. With that said, Dr. Berg has been a very good mentor this entire time that I've been on Guam. I'm not speaking directly about the Guam Medical Board, but as a fellow physician working on, taking care of patients. And because he is the chair of the medical board, and I feel that he is a very good mentor, I have confidence in being able to serve the people of Guam to the best of my abilities. Speaking to the governor a little bit, she was really excited about having me on the medical board, and thinks because I tend to be very meticulous, that I would be really able to help the people of Guam. Excited to accept the nomination.
Well, we thank you for accepting the nomination, Dr. Alford. I'll start by just asking you, how will you ensure that licensing standards on Guam align with national best practices while still addressing local physician shortages? And I'm not sure if you are aware the big debate that's been occurring on Public Law 38107, Bills 302 and 303. We just had a public hearing yesterday on those two particular measures.
So I am a little hesitant about, let me rephrase that. I think as a member of the medical board, my strong suit is I am very detail oriented. I tend to look into small details, and I'm the person who reads every line and tick marks every little thing just to make sure that we're not missing anything. I think that's very important, especially in the conversation about internationally trained physicians. I think it is the same with any physician that we come to Guam. Guam is such an unusual location. We still have to be American physicians with American training, at least currently. And yet we're so far away, people would have to have a reason to move here. And I think that's true for most people moving to Guam. But then the next question is, Are you someone who I would want to work with and taking care of my family, my friends, and our extended friends and family network here on Guam? Because really, there's only 1 or 2 degrees of separation. So I think it's very important as a medical board member to be able to look through every single application and make sure that this is someone that I would want to be on island treating my friends and family. Now, the debate on these internationally trained physicians is a very interesting debate. You know, there are different, I feel like almost every country has a shortage of physicians. I know Australia and New Zealand are rapidly recruiting American physicians. Many Americans are moving there. American physicians are also moving into Canada and the Middle East, and they're actively recruiting all over. And so it causes a bigger physician shortage throughout our country. And it makes it even harder for us to get American physicians to come to Guam. With that said, there are many countries that have the same standard of care or very similar standard of care to medicine in the US. And US medicine is absolutely, one of the best in the world. And we take very good care of our patients, and we use scientific data to decide on what would be the appropriate next care. I think just looking through every single physician who is coming to Guam, whether they are internationally trained or US trained, is very important. And finding out where their qualifications are. When I was in residency, it was very interesting. Most of our international graduates came from 2 or 3 different medical schools in the Philippines. 3 or 4 from India and a couple from Pakistan. And I asked the head of our residency, why is it that we're only taking physicians from these programs? And he said, because we have had excellent care, excellent trained physicians from these institutions, and we know what their standards are, and we know their standards are very high. And so with internationally trained physicians, the problem is now we have hundreds of medical schools, maybe thousands of medical schools throughout the world to deal with. And I think just figuring out who is appropriate and who is not appropriate to take care of our people is going to be a big challenge. I'm hoping that I learn enough at the Guam Medical Board to be able to help sort through all of that.
Right, and determining who is appropriate and who's not appropriate, right, would be the responsibility of the Guam Board of Medical Examiners in terms of who is going to provide a licensure under the ITP pathway or the foreign medical graduate pathway. And as you are probably aware, Public Law 38107, for the foreign medical graduate pathway, it is open to both the public and private medical facilities, but under the ITP pathway, it is limited only to government facilities such as GMH and public health. What is your position? Do you believe that the ITP pathway should be open to also private medical facilities?
I believe so. And the reason for that is if you have an equivalent physician who is able to supervise an ITP internationally trained physician, I think that is okay. But it should be someone who is of the same specialty. So you don't want a general surgeon supervising a super subspecialized surgeon like a neurosurgeon. You don't want a family practitioner supervising a gastroenterologist, because what we do is very, very different. We may all be physicians, but what we do is so different that, I regularly tell my patients, that's not my field of expertise. I cannot give you a good opinion on it. So you need to go see, this person instead. So I think if we're going to open it up, there definitely has to be some kind of safeguard mechanism to make sure that the supervising physician is someone who should know as much, if not more, than the person who is coming in.
Right, thank you. And that actually is included in the legislation that I had introduced regarding specialty supervision and specialty practice. Senator Taitigui? I keep saying Senator Taitigui. Senator Terlahi.
Sijusmasi, Madam Chair. Thank you, Dr. Alford, for being willing to serve on this board. I guess I want to talk to you about the same things that I talk to all the board nominees, and that is, so the Guam Board of Medical Examiners, there's a very small medical community here on Guam. You have to govern each other. Do you think you're willing and able to be objective in doing that when it looks like you've been here, at least at AMC, since 2011? And
Yes.
I bet you know all the doctors here in Guam. And are you able to be objective in overseeing their licensing, their removal of licensure, or complaints against them?
I think I can. Obviously, it's very hard because the community is so small and we know each other and we work together often. And especially in my line of work, I think I work with a big number of physicians on island, if not all of them. So it does make it difficult. But at the end of the day, what I have to keep in mind is we as physicians are taking care of the people of Guam. And that's the most important part. So if a physician is unable to appropriately take care of a patient, and in general, the people of Guam, we do not want them doing that. We do not want them compromising care, because it does not just reflect badly on them, but it reflects badly on the entire medical community. You know, it's absolutely amazing. Some of our physicians on Guam have unbelievable, impeccable training. We don't want a bad apple to be mixing in, making the rest of the physicians look bad. So I think I am able to be very objective about it, because it does compromise the entire health, the entire community in terms of health.
All right, there are currently, from what I can tell, about 6 members of the Board of Medical Examiners: Dr. Berg, Dr. Louis Cruz, Dr. Alexander Weilard, Dr. Eusebio from GMH, Dr. Songwak Kim, a podiatry member, and Ray Tahaji, a physician assistant member. Do you serve with any of these at AMC Clinic?
No, Dr. Louis Cruz, he is a sports medicine physician and he is part-time at AMC. I actually do not see him regularly. I cannot remember the last time we encountered each other because we are at separate locations.
All right, so there would be one from GMH. If you are confirmed,
I am.
There would be 2. You are also from GMH?
So I am not employed by GMH, but I do take call and I have privileges at GMH.
Okay, so yeah, so Dr. Eusebio and you from GMH, and then Dr. Cruz and you from AMC are on the same board. And I guess I'm just a little bit concerned that do we have a good representation of all the different types of clinics and doctors here on Guam? But that's the governor's nominee. But would you be able to put in the time and serve on those subcommittees, do the investigations that the board members have to do in this board?
The nice thing with my occupation is, as an endocrinologist, almost all my time is pre-scheduled. There's very little emergency, which is one of the big reasons why I went into the field. And so as long as I have everything scheduled out, I can make time. So does it compromise some time from American Medical Center, from clinical hours? Absolutely. But the good news is we are actively recruiting a second endocrinologist to join our practice. And my understanding is there's a couple other clinics that are looking into getting some part-time endocrinologists. And so my understanding is my patient load should be easing a little bit. So I will have more time available to serve on the board.
Yeah, I understand you're a very in high demand specialist on Guam, one of the very few that we have, maybe the only in that field. And so
one of two.
One of two. Thank you. And so your service is very precious to us. The board has caught up with a lot of its backlog, but we want to make sure that they don't get in that situation again where they have this long-standing backlog, complaints that are unresolved for years and years because the board says they're not able or willing to make the investigation themselves. They need to hire someone from off-island who's more of a specialist. Do you agree with that? What is your approach to ensuring that this board is not going to have complaints backlogged? Complaints
My
against
thing is,
physicians.
I hate leaving things unfinished, um, you know, in any aspect of my life. So even patient charts, a lot of doctors will leave stuff behind to finish. I rarely leave the day without having everything done. Inboxes, I clear it out on a daily basis unless something emergency happens. And so just personality wise, I think I'd have a hard time letting things linger. I'm very good at lighting fires under people to get things done. And so I think I can be of assistance to the board to make sure that these things don't happen, because I hate it when things pile up and now it's more stressful and more difficult to deal with. So yeah, I think it won't be as big of an issue, I hope, if I'm there to help light fires and get people moving, because I hate leaving things behind.
All right. And do you think you'd be able to review complaints made against doctors serving at GMH, despite you also being one of the on-call doctors at GMH?
So I'm not really on call. I get called if there are any endocrine issues. Thankfully for me, Dr. Rubio tends to do most of the GMH in-house consultations. They call me when he's off island or if it's one of my own patients. So I work with GMH physicians. But I also tend to go in late at night. So I don't have much of a personal relationship with most of them. Obviously with some of the few local physicians that I know well on a personal level. But most of the physicians, good working relationship. But yeah, I think I can be objective.
All right.
I don't actually spend that much time at GMH. It got to the point where my GMH work was so little, we were thinking of not even putting me in as a full-time privilege.
All right. Well, I would just want to ensure that I remember when we were doing the medical malpractice bill that you were opposed to that, which I respect. But at the time, it was made known by one of our colleagues that I think you had declined to take care of them anymore because of their stance on that bill. And I want to make sure that when you're on this board, are going to serve as well to protect these patients from malpractice on Guam, from any harm that has occurred to them, because that is really the role of this board. And do you think you're going to be able to do that?
There is a little bit more backstory to that, and obviously for privacy reasons, I cannot disclose much more information. But can I serve the people of Guam? Absolutely.
All right.
And can I be objective? I believe so.
All right. And the patients versus the doctors, you're going to be able to do that?
Absolutely, because if a lot of times I hear things from patients. There are always two sides to a story, and I think compiling information is very important, and you need to be able to listen to both sides. And yes, I think I can absolutely objectively listen to patients. And I believe that many times, especially when there is a question of medical malpractice or any kind of medical negligence, I think communication breakdown is a big problem. And being able to help patients understand from the medical side and speak in layman terms is a big important thing. And I think being able to do that will help tremendously in reaching compromise and reaching understanding, so that there's not so much anger and hurt feelings. But yes, I think I can objectively listen to patients and where they are coming from.
All right, thank you.
And what their complaints are.
I'd like to see them.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to see them get swift justice from the board, as opposed to what may have happened years ago or in recent years. And then my final question is, so one of the other responsibilities of the board is to get from the insurance companies to see if.
All right. Now, I couldn't agree more with her, and not just in the medical field, but in every human relationship, that communication is just such an important thing, because a lot of times breakdowns in controversies, scandals, arguments, they all result from a miscommunication. And it's one person who hears something but doesn't listen, and it's another person who says something but doesn't say it the right way. and especially in text messaging. Text messaging is probably like the worst thing you can rely on for great communication. If you want to get a point across, you lose the intonation, and then some people can't spell or they don't know where to put the commas. And it's just what a wonderful way to ruin a relationship, right? But in general, yeah, I agree with Dr. Alford that in general, a lot of issues stem from miscommunication. But I don't know whether I believe her assertion of objectivity, especially following the Taidagui case and also the medical malpractice stance on Bill 112. Because if you ask any of the doctors who already are on the Guam Board of Medical Examiners or who have been over the past several years, whether their feelings of objectivity, they're all going to tell you the same thing Dr. Alford has told you. And I, I don't know. If I were a senator, I'd be in a very tough position trying to make a decision on whether to confirm her. But I'll tell you right now, based on the stance on Bill 112, followed by the rejection of a cancer patient because of her stance on the bill, I mean, I it would take some convincing for me to say yes to a confirmation like that. And I wonder what all of these senators are going to be thinking as they move into voting on this confirmation. It takes 8 to confirm. Look, folks, we already have a Guam Board of Medical Examiners that has never sided with a patient in the last several years. We already have a GBME that has taken years to contemplate certain cases before it. We already have a GBME that has allegedly treated survivors of alleged medical malpractice with absolute contempt. Are we going to risk another one? Or is this a time for reform? And if it is a time for reform, we probably need a different governor to start that reform, because, I mean, we all know where the governor stands when it comes to medical malpractice reform. She's absolutely against it. And for whatever reasons that she has, she says, she used to be a nurse, or like she's a lifelong nurse, and she understands some of these issues. She has a daughter who is a medical doctor, and I guess, there's that, right? I don't know. I think if I were in the legislature, I'd have a very hard time with this, but I'd be leaning toward not voting to confirm her. And maybe she's a wonderful doctor. That does not mean that she would be appropriate for the Guam Board of Medical Examiners. Two different things. When we come back from the commercial break, we're going to talk about the Attorney General's request for $1.6 million more in the new budget, and the arguments that he has made, and a pamphlet that he's made for the media, and a counter argument from Simon Sanchez about the Attorney General. Who Simon Sanchez? I mean, he doesn't mince his words. He said the Attorney General is incompetent. We'll bring you that story on the other side of this short commercial break. Please stick with us.
We delivered. Guam AutoSpot is extending our overstock sell-off with the hottest deals on island, like our 2025 GMC Canyon with $4,000 off, or slide into a brand new Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, starting at just $24,995. September is your chance to drive big and save even bigger. Visit us today or get pre-approved online at guamautospot.com or call 478-AUTO. Guam AutoSpot, where the savings never stop.
We all can see we are civilians in this, but we are the ones who see it most, right? The issues with the criminal justice system. And you probably see it even more if you are a crime victim, a criminal defendant, someone who is incarcerated, whether you're in jail pending trial or in prison serving a prison sentence. If you are a prosecutor, a defense attorney, a judge, a clerk, a marshal, a probation officer, those are the ones who see the issues in the criminal justice system closest. But we, as a society, uh, we see it every day and we live it every day, and how we conduct ourselves, how we move about our lives, and the constrictions that we have in our lives because of the state of the criminal justice system. And we were promised 4 years ago that things were going to get better. And there are things that have gotten better. Uh, and it up to you to decide who gets all the credit for this, right? But 4 years ago, the price of meth was something like $50 a gram, which was crazy cheap. It used to be $500 a gram. Then it settled at about $300 a gram. The street price of that drug has since 4 years ago reached back to $300 a gram, which is good news, right? Because that means it's less attainable. When it was at $50, that means that kids could afford it. And so good news that, it's gone up, right? There has been, over the last 4 years or so, the interdiction of a large amount of methamphetamine. We remember the headline-stealing days of the Mandania Drug Task Force. Everyone remember that? They, out from all that blunder and all of the stealing of civil and constitutional rights from people, that task force managed to interdict less than a pound of dope. I mean, it was just in the ounces. It was nothing. Over the past several years, through an arrangement between the Leon Guerrero administration and the DEA, there's been an interdiction of several pounds of dope. I mean, it's like millions of dollars of dope taken off of the streets, which is probably one of the reasons that the price of dope went up. I don't know what the property crime stats are. It feels like there are not as many property crimes. And it feels like there is not as much violence. I'm not sure. But it does not feel like the drug problem has gone away. I don't think. It doesn't seem like the Guam Police Department. No, we know for a fact the Guam Police Department is not receiving the resources that it needs in order to do its job more efficiently. But they're doing a darn good job generally as it stands with the resources that they do have. The DOC is crowded times 3, as in it is the two facilities that they have, the Hagåtña Detention Center and the Mangilao Correctional Facility, have a population of near 1,000, which is 3 times the combined capacity of what those two facilities were meant to hold. And as far as prosecutions go, there have been a bunch of cases that have been dismissed for a bunch of different reasons. There have been a bunch of trial losses. There have been some trial wins. There have been some sad cases of the criminal justice system failing murder victims. There has been the acquittal of 4 homicide cases over the past year. There has been the acquittal of, or the release of 11 drug trafficking cases over the last year. The criminal justice system has its victories, but I think a reasonable person can surmise that more so it has its losses, that there's a whole heck of a lot of room for improvement. And one of the ways that the Attorney General suggests that the criminal justice system can be improved is if he is given $1.6 million more to hire more attorneys and staff for those attorneys. And he pegs the salary of each of these attorneys at $165,000. So currently, he has 30 lawyers, at least according to his latest report. He says that his office requires 96 lawyers, and it's not just prosecutors, it's also for the civil side of things, for the consumer protection, all these different areas, government corruption, all these different areas of the Attorney General's office, right? Child support, I think, is another one. He needs 96 total in his office. He only has 30. He says that he can live with 45 more. But realistically, 30. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. He says he can live with 45 more. This is weird. He says number of attorneys needed 45. Average attorney salary and benefits is 15 times 165,000. Okay, so that first page is a little weird, but anyway, so he needs to hire lawyers, and I'm gonna give you the AG story before we talk about the other side of the story first. Okay, we got to be fair here. The Attorney General did what really every agency head should do. He prepared an argument for why senators should give him this $1.6 million. And part of that argument, according to the Attorney General's own records or own assertions, is the amount of work that his office does. I think it's pretty clear that we have an AG who really does work a lot. I don't think that's a question. And again, we'll get to the other side of that on the other side of this. And he lays it out. He's very good at communicating what he does as well. We got to give him that. He is very good at putting across to the public the programs that he has and letting us know what he believes are the success rates of these programs. And he puts it all in this pamphlet to the media and to the senators in his argument as to why he needs $1.6 million more, because it builds off of the current quote unquote successes that he has, including since January of 2023, according to the AG. His team of renegades, that's what he calls it, have secured over, that's a spatial term, it's supposed to be more than, 89 jury trial victories, each one the result of tough prosecution that this AG was elected to deliver. So the AG is not short on hyperbole, right? But what he claims 89 jury trial victories. You divide that by 365 times 4, and that's not a lot of trial victories, like in the scope of a 4-year period. 365 times 4 divided by 89 is like a whole lot of days in between trial victories. And so, I mean, I guess the number 89 sounds good when you first hear it, right? But then you just... he has communicated his AG Moylan matchups. You guys have seen that on Instagram, right? They're a little entertaining to watch, where you have this AI type or this cartoon type footage of the Attorney General in boxing gloves, and he knocks out the criminals who he puts behind bars. The AG Moylan Minute, this was the real racy stuff, where like there was one of them where it was kind of encouraging people to shoot other people. So he puts it in the success column, right? He has done his outreach. The AG has done, you cannot objectively, to the reasonable person, you cannot ding him on this. He's done incredible outreach, especially to kids, about, choosing the right path, not choosing a life of crime. Look at all of these people who chose, these were once kids as well, and they chose the wrong path. So the AG has done a really good job with his prevention and his promotion of prevention, which is a big part of the job. You got to admit, even if you don't like the AG, right? He's got, he says that there are wins in child support with his 5-star treatment commitment to child support parents. His purge program and his program that made where he signed on to the 287G federal program that would deputize members of his staff to be ICE agents. His purge program that's his deportation from Guam program. However you feel about that, he puts it into the win column. And he says, look, we've done all these things. There's a lot of programs that the AG has covered, right? He says, look, we've done all these things, and we did it on this short staff. If you want us to do more, if you want our office to be more successful, give us $1.6 million, because this is what we're going to use it for. This number of attorneys, this number of staff, this is how much each attorney costs, this is how much each staff member costs on average, and this is... So he lays out a case. And it's something that the directors of the other agencies should probably take note of, like how to do stuff like this, because he lays out a case. Now, is it an honest case? That's the other side of this thing. there's three sides to this thing, right? There's there's two sides, sorry. There's two sides to this thing. One is, do you agree with these programs that he's promoting? That's a whole thing on its own, right? And then once you're able to get past that, is he making an honest case about these programs? And is he making an honest case about what the needs are and what the problems are? And there are people who have left his office who will tell you that it's not an honest case. That the reason the number of attorneys, the level of attorneys is so low, 30, is a management issue and also an ethics issue. That the reason and you know, there was a dip, there were problems between Attorney General Levin Camacho and some of his prosecutors. And that became a public thing. And the level of management and the level of the number of attorneys between Elizabeth Barrett Anderson and Levin Camacho, that went down. Yes, that was a thing. But man, did it go down from Levin Camacho to Doug Moylan. I mean, it really went down. And it's been a revolving door. The Attorney General, he postures this as, and the PDN, I don't know, they just ran it as though it was some sort of fact. The AG makes the accusation that the Public Defender Services Corporation and alternate public defender are poaching the attorneys from the AG's office. But if you talk to some of these attorneys, they weren't poached. They went to public defender or alternate public defender on their own. Like, they wanted a job there because they wanted to be out of the Attorney General's office, and they wanted to be out of the AG's office because of A, B, C, and D within the Attorney General's office, all related to either the Attorney General's management or ethics, according to these attorneys. And so is the issue funding, or is the issue management and ethics and competence? And this is how I want to end this show. I want to read you what Simon Sanchez said. And the reason this is a news story for me is because you don't typically see Simon Sanchez writing stuff like this or even saying stuff like this. It is very direct. Not to say that Simon's not a direct person, but Simon's a highly positive person. Like, he's just so happy all the time. There's always a bright side to things. If there's a power outage or there's a blackout or there's load shedding, GPA like sends Simon Sanchez to the front lines to talk to everybody because he has a way of explaining things that makes you feel a little better at the end of the explanation, right? And he doesn't mind getting hammered over and over by people who are pissed off about the power outages. I'm sorry. I'm just picturing whenever the power goes out and like someone on WhatsApp or someone in the comments somewhere, it's like, my effing power just went out. And there's Simon Sanchez. He's on the radio or he's on Kandit or on KOM or whatever. And he's like, everyone, this is what happened. And, you know, the don't worry about it because the crews are out there. They're working hard. I mean, the guy is just very positive and he always has such a great outlook about things, right? Sometimes what he says is like, okay, I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's a little too smart for me, or there was a bit of a word salad, but you don't get a negative vibe from Simon Sanchez. It's not very often that he says something that is innately negative. But this is what he said about the Attorney General. He said, the AG also has failed to prosecute any corruption cases while accusing government officials of corruption. Our Constitution protects us from false accusations by the government since the government must prove guilt. 4 years after raiding government agencies during Malwar, not one corruption case has been filed. Either there is no corruption or the AG is too incompetent to bring an actual case to court. Falsely accusing people of corruption or any crime without proof is wrong. And the one case he inherited regarding corruption, he lost that one also. Jay Ariola correctly points it out that the AG was wrong on the law when he lost the corruption case. He falsely accused innocent people, and the Supreme and District Court have repeatedly shown he's wrong on the law. A bad lawyer and a bad manager who blames everyone else but himself for his incompetence. And now he's going to lose us $100 million without any proof that the governor cannot spend federal funds, as she has done with other programs funded by the same federal dollars. Losing federal funds our people can use is inexcusable. We are all paying for his incompetence. I want you to think about this. This is Simon Sanchez, a Republican, saying this about Republican Doug Moylan, and in the same breath, using the governor, a Democrat, her project to attack the Attorney General, a Republican. This goes beyond partisan politics. What Simon Sanchez is, what he's essentially saying, no, he's just saying it. He's just saying it, period. That the Attorney General is incompetent, and because of his incompetence, we're going to lose a lot of money, and a lot of people have been hurt. I have been mulling this for some time, and I mean, I decided to do this maybe like a month ago. It's just the typhoon came, and then, you know, doing a show twice a day every day gets it's a little much, right? There's not much time to write stuff. There's not much time to research. But one of the things that I want to do is to get these. Remember, I was telling you about attorneys, right? I was telling you about the attorneys who left the Attorney General's office. I want to get them on the record so that you can hear what they have to say. I'd like to get the Attorney General on the record too, to defend himself, to give his side of the story. And I don't know whether he'll answer follow-up questions, because I mean, if his side of the story doesn't make sense, if it doesn't answer what the attorneys that left him are accusing him of doing, then of course, you know, there's this gap, right? But at least you get to see what is being said on both sides of this thing. But like I said last night in my show last night, I'm growing increasingly concerned about our criminal justice system. And I've already written off, and it's because of the Attorney General, and there are other things as well. DOC, the political corruption that continues to persist involving Adelup, all this different stuff, right? So I continue to be increasingly concerned about the criminal justice system on many fronts, and also because of the Attorney General. But I've written off any hope that I ever had over the past 4 years, because this is what I lived on the past 4 years when we elected Doug Moylan. I voted for Attorney General Doug Moylan. I did. And I'm feeling like I was betrayed, because one of the main reason that I voted for him was I thought that he was going to go after corruption, because we know it exists. And Simon Sanchez poses the question, it's either there's no corruption or he's incompetent, and he ends it with the answer to that question. It's incompetence, right? So Simon Sanchez, in a roundabout way, you know, he says right there in a roundabout way, there is corruption, right? But for the last 4 years, we haven't prosecuted it locally. In the biggest corruption case in the history of this island, it's being prosecuted in federal court. But what about everything else? What about those contracts? What about what happened during the pandemic that we know about the things that happened? What about the cronyism that's blatant right in our faces? What about the political revenge that's being played against people, the people who've been fired just because they went to a Tony Ada fundraiser? I mean, it's all there. People have made complaints, and there's been no effective local prosecution of corruption in years now, dating even before the Moylan administration. But, I mean, I guess it was too much to ask for our government, aside, of course, from the public auditor, and now, thankfully, certain members of the legislature to do something about corruption. At least it's being done now in the political branch of the government. At least the OPA, who we've elected, has gone after it. But man, it would be nice if the Attorney General and the media could jump on it too. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. Stay tuned tonight for what I believe is going to be Michael St. Nicholas's The Reality Check, where he is going to parse through and call out the BS from the unemployment report and the reading of the unemployment report by Adeloop. And if that's not going to happen tonight, then I guess it's going to be the Troy Torres Show, and I'll pick my subject later on. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. You all have a beautiful day. God bless you, and and prepare to enjoy what should be a safe and beautiful and blessed weekend for you, your family, and your